Hello, everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. You already know who I am. You already know who these guys are. It's Jeff, Dennis, and Mark himself. He's a full fan voice. It's been a while, lads. Let's get straight into things. This new striker target. You know, the rumour mill's been overdrive. Obviously, Sebastien Haller has now left. Dia, Armstrong, the list is endless. Lads, what are we saying? Sam, before we get into striking targets, can actually secure a striker this transfer window?
I mean, you know, time and time again, we've been let down horrendously by the board, especially in January. So I'm keeping my feet firmly on the ground. I mean, Dia looks like it's going to be the option we go for. Knowing Sullivan, we will somehow land Ali Dia. But, you know, but Dia at Reims is, it's, you know, we're being quoted 10 million euros. That's relatively low risk, which Sullivan might like. Also, he plays in a very defensive team, feeding off scraps similar to Antonio, and he's good at running in behind. And I think I saw a stat that only Neymar, Lewandowski, and I think one other that I can't remember have scored more goals in Europe's top 5 leagues than him this year.
Yeah.
Admittedly, he scored 5 penalties of those 12 goals. So there's a bit of that Josh King argument where most of them are penalties, but you take them. And I think it's relatively low risk compared to some of the other names we've got out there. And he's young. He's similar. He works in something, and ultimately he's coming in to be backup to Antonio, who is Moyes' preferred choice anyway. So, you know, rather than spending 20 odd million on a striker, a relatively inexpensive 10 million euros, which is half of what we got for Haller, it's just whether Sullivan is willing to stump that up. We probably end up getting someone on loan like Troy Deeney, like I said on Monday night. So keep your feet on the ground, guys, is my advice.
Yeah, no, look, profile fits. He's joint top scorer, isn't he, in League One with Kylian Mbappe, which is that.
That's the one I was missing out. Mbappe.
Yeah, great retail value. From what I've seen of him, he does really fit that profile. I mean, Jeff, Mark, have you seen too much of this Dia? Is there someone else maybe you'd look to bring in instead?
I personally haven't seen much of him. Only obviously the rumours that have been going around on Twitter the last sort of couple of days or so. I quite like, as I was about to mention, actually Charles has put it up already. Tony
from just copied one of my tweets earlier. He liked that tweet and he's just copied and pasted it.
I'd personally look at him just because I've seen him a couple of times for Brentford this season, so I know a little bit more about him. But what I would say, and kind of what Dennis touched on there, it really is that whoever we do sign, he needs obviously to effectively fit that style of play. So you really want him to be almost like a sort of a carbon copy, really, of Antonio for me. Someone who's prepared to run in behind, who ideally can hold the ball up as well, because obviously, clearly, as we saw with Haller, it just didn't, unfortunately, just didn't work out. It wasn't his game to run in behind, and I think it did restrict our options, really. So that's, if we do sign someone, then I think that's what we need to try and do, is almost have a like for like replacement for Antonio.
Yeah, Jeff, thoughts on the potential signing? Would you anyone else you'd bring in? We haven't really touched on the Haller thing, mate. To be fair, either. I mean, your thoughts on Haller leaving for Ajax as well?
Well, like Dennis said, we've got to keep it on the ground. We've been here so many times and been let down, so I'm not getting too excited about any potential signings. But what I will say is we're surely in a position where we simply have to sign somebody. And I thought that was quite a telling sign from Moyes against Stockport, that he didn't give that young lad a game, Modibeko. If he'd have started or come on for 45 minutes or half an hour, then that is a sign that he's going to be playing. He's going to be part of the first team for the latter half of the second half of the season, but obviously he didn't. So that makes me feel like surely we have to sign somebody, don't we? Don't know a lot about Dia. I mean, targets for me wise, Igalo for Man United, he seems to be surplus to requirements there. Probably not so keen on going back to China. So I think he would fit the system. He can run in behind. He works hard, and certainly again, Adam Armstrong from Blackburn, lots of pace, good runner. I know we've been linked with him. I mean, Blackburn aren't going to want to let him go, are they? But at the same time, if he's ready to make that step to the Premier League. If he wants to leave, then I'm sure a deal could be done. But that might be on the more expensive end.
Yeah.
Trying to pull a top striker from another club. But yeah, obviously there's some options there. But yeah, we have to sign somebody, don't we? You can't wait with just one striker. It's ridiculous.
Armstrong would probably be a summer sign, another one I call a summer sign, and an outlay, bring him in and integrate him. Also, my mate Harry, he's a COV fan, but he watches Championship football religiously, and he told me that he picked up on my comments on Monday night about Armstrong, and he said Armstrong cannot play on his own. He has to play with a strike partner, apparently, but due to his size. So in Moyes' system, it's not really going to work. We could be having some Haller Imagine Haller, but running around is basically what he said.
Yeah, I mean,
about 5'4".
You can't hold the ball up, and he has to play off people. And obviously, Haller weren't too great holding the ball up. So yeah, just think of a mini Haller that runs around a lot.
Armstrong's such an interesting one because when you watch him play, he can come off the wing, he can come off the other wing, he can pop inside. He's a bit of a 10, but it's because his finishing ability and he has got decent pace as well. I mean, I'd like to see him in a West Ham shirt in the summer, but Jeff touched on it as well. It's not just having one other striker. We need at least 3 strikers. I hate this idea of just having one and then interchange another. We should have a couple of options up front that we can interchange out and hopefully we get that long term.
Because I think that was the plan originally for Pellegrini, listening to X's podcast. The plan was, in Pellegrini's mind, was keep Arnie, now he's happy, get Gomez as the main striker to work with Arnie, and have Rondon on as a third option. Have 3 very different centre-forwards. Yeah. Which, my understanding, was Pellegrini's plan. He ended up just having Haller. So, I've spoken enough about Haller in my time.
Yeah, no more arguments, mate. About
no more of that. No more of that. I've said my bit, and glad some people understood what I was saying. But ultimately, ideally we need 2 centre forwards, and even if it's a case of get Josh King and Dia, for example, Josh King then can also solve some of our potential rotation problems out left. If Moyes doesn't see Ben Rama as a left wing and wants to play him as a 10. That means there's less pressure, or there's pressure for Fornells to perform, but equally there's less need for Fornells to play every single blooming minute out on the left wing. Yeah. So,
the Josh King one's an interesting one, mate, because obviously we've heard that they wanted 10 mil for him in January when he's a free in the summer. It's ridiculous. I mean, we're not even going to pay that. I mean, it's a waste of money. And obviously, if we get Dia in, a player that can come in straight away, and he's a bit younger and he's got retail value, I'd rather do that. Do you reckon West Ham will go in for Josh King either on loan or will look to maybe possibly sign for a free in the summer?
Why would they loan him for us to sign him on a free?
God
unless
knows,
the loan fee is like the £10 million. It makes no sense. It's one of the most ridiculous. And when I saw someone put like a loan to buy, and it's like he's out of contract. So why is it? What is that? Like, what the fuck is that rumor?
Yeah. But I would like us to go in the summer. I'll try and agree something now, even if he can't come in, because I think that's the best for both, well, for Josh King and for West Ham, and having someone else we can come in. You mentioned on that left hand side, as much as I rate Pablo Fornells defensively, we do need a different option down that left, someone that can get in beyond and attack that wing.
Sorry. Yeah, we definitely do, and we all know how small our squad is anyway, in just in other areas as well as the pitch. And I think that we've said several times, Moyes does like to set us up a bit on the counter, and obviously Fornells doesn't really fit into that really because he hasn't got that pace to sort of support Antonio particularly. So I think King would solve that problem, and obviously he could almost be used as a striking option as well if required. But if we go with King and we're looking at him playing on the left, well, we definitely would still need to go and sign another centre forward. We can't just knowing our luck, we'll sign King to play on the left. Antonio will break down, and so will Fornells, and then we're back at square one again. Which, knowing us, is with our injury record in the last few years that we've had, is quite likely.
I'd like to see us bring in an out and out striker. We're saying obviously, he plays off the left, he can come in off the right, and all of this. We need an out and out striker, a proper scorer, because Antonio, he's our main man, of course, but we know that if he has a run of games, his hamstring starts to ping, and he needs a break. So we've got to bring in somebody that we know can play as a centre forward and fit the system. And I'm just gonna go for it here, and get forward. But I'll just have Arnautovic back.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sorry, but putting everything else to one side, he fits the system perfectly. He works with Moyes, as X has tweeted out or reported. There's no dressing room rift. He's got friends at the club still. He's going to do the business, and if you want a top half finish, and you want it now, you want it this season, then that's the best bet. So I'm in Team Arnautovic. I love him. I can't help it. I think I put in the chat the other day about it. I'm sorry.
I love him.
I mean, I'm with you with what he brings stuff, but here's the problem. For all reports, he's not match fit and he's overweight and not training. So it's going to take months for us to get him in the fucking first team. It's a waste of time loaning him in. In my opinion, a waste of time. I agree with everything else you've said, Jeff. Ultimately, we need someone like someone to come in running. Like I said, I've made my feelings clear to Arnautovic, but on a purely footballing basis, he is the tonic we need. And when he played for you fucking loved it. But he's not match fit. He's talking about how he even openly admits in interviews that he doesn't train. So if he comes in, he's not going to be match fit for a good month. That leaves us then with just Antonio and youth players. So sadly, as much as it sounds like a nice little neat idea, I think it is purely paper talk.
As you know what we're like, we won't bring someone in until the very last possible minute anyway. Sign him tomorrow. Let's get it done. Get him in.
You know what? Before all of this Dia, Daka, all these different names started popping up, I just thought it screamed getting Arnie in on loan towards the end of the window. And I guess if something doesn't happen, I wouldn't be surprised if Moyes tries to force the issue because we know he likes Arnie. You've mentioned obviously he's got a decent relationship with people in the dressing room. I'm not on board with it, but I know what you mean, Jeff. That mould of a striker is exactly what we need. Really, Dennis
is right. Regards his fitness and getting someone straight in. And we're now on the 13th of January. It's a fair. Why didn't we get him in on the 1st? We knew this was coming. Antonio's been injured since October. If we're going to make that move, which we're obviously not, let's get him in. Get him in the 1st of January. That's what should have been happening. But we're going to do the usual, get someone in right at the end of the window, probably in a rush, I'd imagine.
I mean, I joke that Julian Joachim's going to sign for us on a free, but so I'd rather Arnie than Julian Joachim. But
I've got a funny feeling that all these players that we keep getting linked with, I've got a nasty feeling we're not going to get any of them. We'll end up getting, it's obvious.
Too good to be true, man.
And I think we'll end up with someone that no one's even mentioned or anything like that. Not that I've got any names or anything, but you can see it. And whoever that player is, it'll probably be like the 29th of January or something like that, and it'll be too late. And just picking up on Arnautovic, I said on here a couple of weeks ago, I believe that he's only scored 16 goals in that period.
Yelovic has a much better scoring record than him out in China.
Obviously, we know he's gone there for the money, but surely there's got to be a little bit of professional pride out there. He should be ripping that league up, really. But I do totally agree that in terms of the his style of play, he would obviously be absolutely ideal for how Moyes wants to play. And I think as well, not only would it give Antonio a rest, which I think is really important, I could actually see Antonio maybe even being shifted out wide left or wide right as well, just to give us a little bit more variety in the attack, because I think that adds a different dimension to the game as well.
I thought this today actually when we was talking about targets and looking at them, and obviously Dia is in that mould of a player that he's a real centre forward. Like he can make those runs similar to Antonio, and I wonder whether we saw Antonio move to that striker position because Moyes didn't fancy Haller. If we get another striker that can play that role, could we see maybe Antonio play on possibly even the left wing, maybe cutting in? I don't know. Maybe there'll be another option to have. I'm not sure.
I think whilst I've just said that Antonio could play wide left, I'm just racking my brain. When he's played there in the past, does he ever really look that good? Is he better off on the right? And that would
he's better on the right, isn't he? He's better. He's much better on the right, and he's direct. He can get beyond. Yeah. It's not him to be that kind of inverted winger. But you never know with Moyes, mate. You never know.
I mean, as I said, we've seen this film so many times before. We're gonna end up getting some absolute wild card from South America that's hotly rated on FIFA career mode or some nonsense, and then we'll end up with either someone that's not match fit, i.e. we might loan Arnautovic, or we'll panic and get Timo Pukki from Norwich or something. You know,
I'd rather not, mate. To be fair with Timo, can you imagine?
Timo Pukki or Troy Deeney, who in their own right, yeah, they know where the goal is, but they're not really. They don't fit how Moyes wants to play at all. You know, we don't need a slightly immobile target man to hold the ball up. We need someone to come deep, run, get the ball, turn around. Exactly what Antonio does. Dia does that for his club. It's just, again, people are joking that Marseille are going to bid for him in the time that we're faffing around, and we'll put in some. Like, if they're asking for 10 million, we'll inquire with 4 to test the water, and Marseille will go, "There's 10 million, thank you." Like, it's how it normally goes.
But mate, to be fair, Leon are looking at him because obviously Moussa Dembele's gone off to Atletico. They need a striker, and if we wait, and this is the thing about waiting around. Like, again, the whole Haller thing, how it happened and he left was so sudden that I'm not convinced we should have had a replacement lined up. I'm sure there were talks well before when he left, but the longer we leave it, I look at Antonio. We saw him against Stockport. I don't think he's still fully fit. We're going to chuck him out there against Burnley and West Brom back-to-back games, and he even played the 90 against Stockport. It's such a massive risk.
It goes back to what Jeff just said as well about the young kid who was left on the bench against Stockport. Makes you wonder, even if it was just with 20 minutes to go, why just didn't give Antonio a rest? Because with all due respect to Antonio, he's still trying to find his feet back, but it was a poor performance from him, really. And I do feel that if Haller had put that performance in, West Ham Twitter would have gone into meltdown. But I think because it's Antonio, there's a little bit more leeway. But you know, it's crazy to think that we knew when the summer transfer window shut. Was that the 1st of October? Was it? I think this season. Yeah. We knew then that we needed another striker. You're now, what was it, the 13th of January, and we're still we're actually in a worse position now because we've sold the only other forward that we had at the club. It's crazy. I don't understand how West Ham work as a club, what goes through their minds when it comes to transfers. This should have been done and dusted for my mind, irrespective of having sold Haller.
Yeah, it's spot on. Should have been straight away, right at the beginning of January. Everything should have been in the works since October, November. Bosh, January, there's your signing, you know, whoever it may be, and get them straight in the team. And yeah, as what you said about Antonio playing 90 minutes at Stockport, that's just outrageous. I was shocked. I can't fathom it now. I mean, his performance, irrespective of that, it's ridiculous that he was playing in the first place for that long on that kind of a pitch in a cup game when we need him fit for the league. So, I mean, obviously he needed to get a few minutes under his belt, but 90 minutes in that game was ridiculous.
I would have taken him off the minute Dawson scored. I know it's only a couple of minutes, but that's a couple of minutes where he could twist his ankle or, you know, roll his knee or whatever. But like Mark, go back what you said, you know, and why, you know, we knew in October we needed another striker. We identified that we needed a decent centre mid in August 2017. We didn't sort it out till Soucek came in, irrelevant of Rice's emotions, because by then we, you know, lost Kia, you know, and Obiang. You know, we take years to address this issue, so we probably will finally sort our strikers out in 2022, 2023. But by then, our central defence and fullbacks or whoever are gone, and Fabianski will be 40, and we'll now need another goalkeeper. Like, it's a recurring cycle of this whole recruitment process. Like, Moyes is starting to make noises about it.
Yeah.
Put pressure on the board. But again, equally, Moyes is known to be really well in with the board. Maybe that's their sort of plot saying, oh, well, the reason why we haven't signed people is because we don't have the recruitment process. Moyes is right. It's really interesting that now, of all times, Moyes is pointing out the recruitment when he didn't say a word of it over summer. And, you know, Pellegrini never really spoke about it. And Moyes is known to be saying things on behalf of the board or be that sort of shield for the board. So it wouldn't surprise me if the new excuse rather than money is going to be, well, we don't actually have the scouting network. This is what we're going to invest in. And then that never happens. And it's just another thing to plod us along, you know?
The thing that I've hated, and I've hated this since we got rid of the likes of Carroll and Perez, was this culling of the squad. This constant culling of the squad to the point where it's bare bones and you've got nearly like 4 free goalkeepers in a 25-man squad. Something ridiculous. And it's like, and now what goes under the radar, and it will because of his position in the team, is Robert Snodgrass. Now, okay, fair enough, he's not getting any game time. That's another centre midfielder, another guy's wages that's off the bill that apparently we're not going to replace. And you look at it and you think, how thin can this squad get? And honestly, we've done really well this season, to be fair, with Rice and Souček without having any injuries. But the minute one of them pulls up, Noble comes in, you start to worry. There's no option on the bench either. It's massively concerning, but it'll get swept under the carpet for probably the next transfer window or two.
Have we still only got one scout?
I don't think we have any. But
Right,
it's Thomas Souček, isn't it? That's the one.
Souček is our director of football, yeah.
But that's the problem, isn't it? There's no forward planning. There's no scouting network. You look at, I saw Leicester in the FA Cup, obviously completely different trajectory as a side, but they put out another side, and it was still relatively the same strength. And I'm thinking we're years off that. They've been building that for years, and unfortunately, I think we're riding our luck at the moment. But at the same time, Moyes has put out a really strong side against Stockport, and we've got lucky. There's no serious injuries because I think games coming up as well. If one of them tweaks in that, possibly fatigue has played its part.
100%.
Yeah, nice. What do you think of the selection? Because I think before it came on, the lads kind of sat there and said, well, look, if we can get the win within the 45, we can start to rest players. That'll be fine. I just want to know, Jeff and Mark, what was your thinking on the strength of that squad in the FA Cup? Were you all right with it? Did you want to see, obviously, earlier subs, given that the majority actually played most of the game, and then the only ones, Creswell, Souček, come on late as well?
Yeah, I was surprised by it. Like we are with the depth of the squad. It was surprising to me that we would field such a strong team in a game like that. With the schedule coming up in the Premier League. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm happy with the win, but and I don't want to disrespect the FA Cup in any way because it'd be great to win something. But with the squad as thin as it is, I'd be prioritising the league all day long. I'd have given Odebeko a good game. I don't know the status of Ryan Fredericks where he is at the moment, but it seemed strange to me that Sofal played the full game. I understand Diop was meant to play and Ogbonna was due a rest, but wasn't past fit. He travelled up there and he wasn't fit, and then they was hoping to get him in last minute and he didn't pass a fitness test on the morning. So that would have been a rest for Ogbonna, because I was shocked to see him in the team. If anyone needs a rest, it's him. So it was surprising, but look, we won the game and draw a line under it now, and hopefully the guys are all fit enough to get through this run of fixtures. Burnley is going to be no easy game,
Oh, mate, honestly, Burnley's the one every year. It just does my head in because you know what you're coming up against. You've got Barnes and Wood, and you see him the other night against United. They were looking decent, so they'll be up for it. They'll 100% be up for it.
Yeah. There was a fall on their side, didn't they? So I'm feeling good about it anyway. I think our lads will be up for it, and hopefully Antonio playing actually on grass instead of mud will be good as gold.
Be a little bit different, and without hopefully without 9 men behind the ball as well, it might be a little bit easy to break them down. It's just again touching partially on what I tried to say at the end of the watch along was fans I think need to level their expectations with Antonio. I mean, like Mark, you touched on it. If Haller had that sort of performance, but I'm not going to go there. But ultimately, people need to understand that he's not immediately going to come in and do everything that Haller wasn't. He needs time to come back. He normally does. And on top of that, it could be that, for example, some of the mistakes Haller made, another striker would also make or make different mistakes. I am worried that certain fans, the expectations now with Antonio are so high because there's been so many frustrations with Haller that Haller's almost been I'm not going to use the term scapegoat, but that outlet, like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's Haller. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's Haller. Whereas now when Antonio's out, I don't want fans to start turning on Antonio because, we love this guy and he's become a real cult hero. And as much as a lot of that goodwill that he's had, if we're 2 or 3 months down the line and he's still not scored a goal or done anything like that, are the fans going to turn on him? We do have a history of turning on players. The general mass is not us, but I mean, so So with Antonio, I think we need to be careful not to pile too much pressure on him, which is why, again, it comes back to the need to sign a backup striker. Like, we need to get someone in fundamentally, because another injury for Antonio, or if let's just say Antonio, isn't quite the same player he was before this injury. Maybe this is the hamstring injury that changes him a little bit. As you do lose a little bit of pace every time you have an injury. So fans, I think, do need to temper their expectations, and I do worry with this run of 9 games that we're going to play Antonio for 90 minutes every game.
That was my point.
90 minutes against Doncaster in the FA Cup, or 88 minutes, because Moyes loves an 88-minute substitution. I think we need to have someone to come off the bench for him.
It's the balance, isn't it, mate, with Antonio, where it's like you need to give him enough games to get into the speed of things and get into form, but equally you don't want to burn him out. And we've always had an issue of just overplaying him week in, week out. And that's why I wanted him off. Let's be honest, around the 60th minute, he wasn't affecting the game at all. You barely saw him get the ball. So you might as well have just taken him off, brought a Jarrod Bowen on and given him a rest, and he comes into Burnley with some minutes under his belt and we go from there. But it's a bit concerning. Jeff touched on it, the Odebeku thing. I think we all thought that maybe Odebeku, now he's fully fit, possibly starts getting on the bench, possibly gets a chance. The fact that Moyes didn't even want to chance it, even though Antonio's coming back from injury, suggests that he's nowhere near the first team, or as much as I thought he could have been.
Yeah, I think if we'd been, 3-4-0 up or something like that, then I think he would have got a lot longer than what he did. What is he? Is he 17, 18, something like that? So he's probably, he's jumped up from the under 18s last year to our under 23 team. So he's obviously got quite a long way to go getting his development. I know he scored some good goals at the start of the season against Southend in the what's the Mickey? The John? Is it the Domino?
The Mickey Mouse Cup?
The Domino, I'm calling it the Domino's Cup or whatever it's called these days.
I still call it the
trophy. That's what I remember it as. But anyway,
LBV Van, whatever it was back in the day.
He's well away, and I think he would be probably quite handy. He's maybe if you had if he was one of 3 strikers rather than at the moment 1 or 2. Just going back to your earlier question, Corey, about the strength of the team, I was quite happy with it. It was good to see that we were actually taking the cup quite seriously for a change. I think in recent years, saw we losing against Wimbledon a couple of years ago, where Pellegrini haven't changed all 11 players. I know we are struggling a little bit for numbers in terms of the squad depth, but it was quite good for me. I maybe would have liked to have seen. Obviously, Bonner had to play in the end, but I think overall Moyes probably got the selection spot on. Would have just maybe liked to have seen a couple of substitutions made a little bit earlier, because we were obviously, I wouldn't say struggling, but I think we were running out of a couple of ideas and how to break them down. And I think maybe just freshening it up a little bit would have played into our hands a little bit more.
Yeah, and listen, they were superb. I think that gets overlooked. They were fantastic defensively. So, I mean, it was always going to be a tough task. You have to ask the questions, though, and it is a different type of competition. It's against lower league opposition. But when we've got the ball, when we've got possession, we struggle to break teams down. We're coming up now against the Burnley and the West Brom side that, let's be honest, they're going to give us the ball. I just want to know your lads' thoughts on things. Do you think Moyes needs to change things up, possibly tactically, to get a result in these games, or do you feel we'll be fine the way we are?
I would like to see a bit of a change. Whether or not it's just sort of trying to play a bit more of a higher press, I think could be one way of doing it. But look, we're not going to suddenly turn into, playing like Barcelona or anything like that in, between Monday and Saturday afternoon. So I think that could be one way of looking at it with the tools that we've got at our disposal. And obviously we know how well drilled Burnley are from both attacking and defensive set pieces. So we're not going to be able just to, like when we played Leeds a couple of weeks back, where we knew that if we got set pieces, we knew we would cause a bit of mayhem in the box. That's not necessarily going to be the case against Burnley. So I think another, trying to maybe do a high press could well be one way forward, and even maybe looking at a couple of different personnel in the starting 11 as well, if that's possible. Just to try and freshen things up a little bit, I think could be another. Someone who's prepared maybe to play that killer pass a little bit more rather than just keep going backwards or sideways with it all the time.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me that has to change in the lineup, and especially for Burnley, is that Yarmolenko cannot start.
Oh yeah, let's touch on Yarmolenko.
This is someone that actually likes Yarmolenko, because the one thing that Yarmolenko can do that other players don't is he tends to take shots from outside the area. I want to bring him on and just fire shots at him later on, or try and get some shots later on. At the minute, to begin with, you're going to need pace, you're going to need defensive work, and he offers neither of those. Some of his tackling on Monday night actually just reduced me to just fits of laughter. There was some way he just fell on his arse and called it a tackle. We're not going to get away with that against Dwight McNeil, or he will be playing left wing for them when he plays right wing. We cannot start Yarmolenko on the right. I don't think we can start Yarmolenko in the middle either. Bowen has to come in. The problem is that because Benrahma played 90 minutes, you're probably going to see Benrahma drop to the bench, even though he's our most creative player. Moyes has to change things, but Moyes won't change things, sadly. We're just going to do the same formation, and I just pray that he starts Bowen ahead of Yarmolenko. Fornells is going to start wide left.
Yeah.
We're going to play three in the middle. Probably Lanzini. We might start Noble pressing because he likes playing Noble twice in 1 week for 90 minutes because of reasons. And again, not really to dig on Noble. Every time he's played, except for the Chelsea game, he's been no worse than the others when he has played. He just hasn't played great. And I do love the memes that are being made of him looking up at the fireworks. That's the best one.
That's class. I should have got this on the banners. I should have put it up.
Oh, mate, it was like that Simpsons moment where Homer's laughing when the guy gets hit with the football and he goes, "Give that guy the $10,000." Like, that was me. I was at my desk at work. I was just pissing myself laughing. On
a positive note about Noble, it might be the only game that Moyes has actually asked him just to sit. Do you know what I mean? Instead of press, I think he did a little bit.
He was not pressing very well.
He loves it. But I just think, like, if you're going to play Noble and he does come into the side for whatever reason, I said before, just give him that pivot role. Just let him sit in defensive midfield. Let him do his thing. Don't ask him to press too much because people will pick holes in him ultimately, and I don't like to see that from Nobes. It's unfair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's such a little seven. It does hurt attacking him or having a go at him, but ultimately we'll revert back to type, and then we'll be scratching our heads, wondering. Moyes will be scratching his head, and he'll make that 70th minute substitution if we're 1-0 down. We all know what's going to happen with this type of game. Burnley is what I like to call that game, the game where we're going to struggle to break them down how we normally play because we're not used to having the ball, and Chris Woods will hurt us. Sad. Sorry to say it, but that's how I see that one going.
Oh God, I hate Chris Wood. But like when you look at it, and we'll touch on this as well because squad selection is a massive thing. In recent games, we've seen a side necessarily where it will be Benrahma in for Lanzini or Lanzini in for Benrahma. It will never be the both. Obviously, we saw that against Stockport. I'd actually like to see them both play. I know Benrahma's now played nightly, so it's unlikely. But against the Burnley side, trying to create something, I'd like to see him in the game. To be fair,
Definitely, they should be starting and playing together, but. Sorry to say they won't. And we only have 18 first-team players. So if a player plays 90 minutes on Monday, he's probably not going to play the 90 minutes on the Saturday. So that's where it is. But on the other positive note, I read on Henry's website, Green Street Hammers, that Fabianski is set to return on Saturday.
Really?
Because Randolph had some very shaky moments on Monday.
I just going back to what you said there, Dennis, about the whole, if they play Monday night, play 90 minutes on Monday and can't play 90 minutes on Saturday. I totally disagree with that. There's no reason why they can't. It's not like we're asking them to play Saturday and then also we're playing Tuesday, aren't we, next week? Is that right? I can understand that argument, only having a day or two's rest, but not 4 or 5 days. There's no
Okay, let me rephrase that. I mean, I can't see Moyes playing them. I
agree with that, but there's no reason why they can't on that stroke of time. I haven't got a major problem with the rotation personally. I think it's with the number of games we've had recently, it makes sense. But I think that Moyes is probably rotating maybe the wrong players. So to have. He's effectively got Benrahma and Lanzini. He's almost just swapping them over. That seems to be his. I know they started on Monday, but they seem to be the ones that are changing. I think he should maybe mix it up a little bit more. Maybe drop I know Fornells didn't play Monday, but maybe to get Fornells and get Lanzini and Benrahma in the team if that's possible, and leave Fornells out because Fornells is another one. He's played virtually every game this season, I think. So another one that could do with a rest in my opinion. So would maybe have a look at that way round. But I think with the other game playing on Tuesday, I've got a feeling that Moyes will have the Tuesday night game as well in the back of his mind as well when he picks this team for Saturday.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one. The Burnley one is for me. It's going to be tough, obviously, than the West Brom game. I think we can get something against West Brom. I know it's Big Sam and Snodgrass is playing, and it's one of them ones where it's like, oh, good, you can
kind of keep our 100% record against Sam Allardyce since he's gone.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you make a good point, Mark. Actually, to be fair, they should be fit enough.
Yeah. I just can't see. So let me rephrase. I've maybe got my wording wrong, but I meant that I can't see that happening.
It's all right, man. It's all right.
Especially players that are not favoured, i.e. Ben Rama.
But a point could be made for Antonio though. If he's asked to go out there and play another 90, how he's going to be, is he any fitter? Is he more match fit? We don't know. We're going to need him in a game like that. A big physical presence that can stretch him a little bit. And if we don't have him, I worry we won't be able to break him down. Burnley's you watched them last night. They were fantastic. They're so hard to break down, and you just worry if they give West Ham the ball. Yeah.
Bloody good at sorting the defence out.
Exactly. Speaking of big bruising defenders, Craig Dawson. Obviously, he's come into the side recently. I was never his biggest fan. I was never the fan of the transfer. But to be fair to him, he's come in. He's done a decent job. Obviously, Dennis, we've spoken about this in length. But I want to get Jeff and Mark's opinion on Craig Dawson. And would you have Craig Dawson now starting over Balbuena as the starting centre back with Angelo Ogbonna?
Yeah, absolutely. It goes without saying now. I actually, for the first time in ages, going into a game against Burnley, you touched on Chris Wood already. I actually feel that we might have the way to remedy that threat through Dawson and Ogbonna. They're both so strong, good in the air, and they seem to have come up with a bit of a partnership, a little bit of an understanding that perhaps Ogbonna hasn't found with anybody else yet. I mean, he plays all right with Balbuena, particularly if Cresswell's with them as well as extra cover. But I was a fan of when we went to the five at the back, three at the back with the wing backs. That worked for us. We were solid, but obviously you sacrificing a man in midfield for that. But now we've got those two, Dawson and Ogbonna. I feel that we can just play a flat back four. Sofal's got the legs to get up and down and still keep up with his defensive duties. And we can have that extra man in midfield, whether that's helping out defensively or a creative number 10 like Lanzini or Ben Rama, whereas before we were having to play just Souček and Rice. So I think Dawson coming in and shoring it all up at the back, I never thought it would happen, but it has given us such a boost. So I'd be expecting him to be playing as much as possible. At the moment, he's solid. He obviously keeps going down and needing sugary drinks at the moment, so I don't know. Hopefully, there's not any sort of issues there. But he seems to be the best option over Balbuena and Diop at the moment.
Yeah, Mark, thoughts on Craig Dawson?
Yeah, when we signed him on loan, I thought it was a bit of a strange signing because I didn't see him playing much really, and obviously up until 2-3 weeks ago, that was looking likely to remain in the case. But I think fair play to him. I think we've done fantastic well. We've managed to keep a few clean sheets, which we've obviously had a few games where we've linked a few goals, Man United and Brighton, and we suddenly look so much better defensively. We look really solid. He's obviously not afraid to stick his head in where it hurts. A bit of an old school defender, is what I would call him. And as Jeff has just said, he's obviously built up a brilliant understanding with Ogbonna. And I think as well as Balbuena has played this season, and it's harsh for him to be out of the team. I think in this current form with Dawson and Ogbonna are showing, there's no need to change it at the back. No need at all, and I'd keep him playing. Let's just hope. Obviously, he keeps going down at the moment with needing sugary drinks and stuff. Let's just hope from a person, his health perspective, that it's not anything too serious for him. But yeah, I think he's done brilliantly and obviously did fantastically well with the goal that he got against Stockport. Great late run into the box.
Bullet header, yeah. I mean, it could be that it could be just his temporarily sugar levels felt a bit lower. So I mean, I'm a type 1 diabetic. It's tantamount diabetes. I've had that a couple of times when I was at school playing football. I need to go off and have a Lucasade. But if it was that, I'd need about a 5-minute sort of stand on the touchline. I wasn't able to come back into it. So I don't think if it was that serious that he needed the sugary drink, he wouldn't be coming straight back onto the pitch. So it could just be something temporarily he's got, or, some other, hyperglycemic type condition. But ultimately, I never thought I'd be sat here praising Craig Dawson. But again, when you talk about starting, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
He deserves to start. I still think he's been a lot more shaky than people that, think. There was when he stood on the ball on the edge of the area, immediately part of that was down to the conditions, and he nearly gifted them a goal, if you remember, against Stockport. He nearly scored a calamitous own goal against Everton, and the first 10 minutes against Southampton was shocking, but that was put that down to nerves or maybe the sugar level situation he had. Watford fans that I speak to and know are still saying, like, just wait, it's only a matter of time. We'll hand him over to you, we'll pay you to sign him. But if he plays like he has the last 3 games, more than happy to take him on permanently, if I'm honest with you, if he can keep it up. I mean, he's in the form of his life. Maybe Dawson's in the form of his life at the same time. Perfect timing,
I think it's definitely, you're right. It's fine margins, isn't it? If he concedes that free kick to Ward-Prowse, he scores and he fouls Danny Ings and he scores as well, it may be it's a slightly different conversation. I suppose what we have to account for is the lack of football that he had played up until that point. Again, I'm not massively convinced with him on the ball. Every time he tries to play out with the ball, it does give me nightmares. But you look at Burnley, the way they'll play, they're big, they're physical. They'll try and throw themselves into him. It's a game that is built for Craig Dawson, and I think we'll be quite fortunate to have him in that game.
He's not afraid to kick people in the head if need be as well.
He's had a few clangers. To be fair, he did a 2-footed tackle the other day. Dennis will remember. I was literally, head in hands, was like, nah, come on, Craig, you can't do that.
I remember saying, he's lucky if he catches him, he gets sent off there. But the studs were up 2-footed.
But he got the ball. That's the thing. He got the ball
That's it.
Maybe this was part of Moyes' plan, specifically looking at these games. It might have just been luck, more than likely. But maybe I'm giving Moyes too much credit here, but getting Moyes a couple of games in for Dawson a couple of games specifically for Burnley and maybe not West Brom as such, but certainly the Burnley game, because I think as we've already said that with Wood and how they like to chuck the ball into the box from set pieces in particular, Dawson's written. It just gives me a little bit more confidence, I think. I mean, Diop sometimes looks shaky when the ball comes across into the middle. I don't know whether or not that's because of performances of the team has lost his bit of confidence for him personally. But yeah, I think he's done fantastically, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's got protection from Souček and Rice as well. And I don't know what system he was playing in with Watford, but he has got a little bit of defensive support there. And actually, to be fair, we talk about Cresswell. I think at times he's looked a little bit vulnerable. Particularly Theo Walcott is the obvious example. But I just think in this system, he's not being asked to get forward as much. And because he's not doing that, he's not getting as exposed. Again, I think we touched on it. The wing-back system, for me, if we can get Arthur Masuaku back in this side, I'd love to go back to it. Because I think with wing-backs, we are superb defensively. We can get forward. So fingers crossed we can get Arthur back. I think he's out for 2 months, possibly. So it'll probably be tail end of the season. But it definitely missed him.
Yeah, the system, the 5 at the back with wing backs, it doesn't work without Arthur. He did sort of try it again, didn't he, with Johnson and whatever, but it doesn't work. It was what Arthur specifically was bringing to the game, I think, that made all the difference. So I'd be sticking with a back 4, regardless of Dawson's form, but I'd be sticking with a back 4 and trying to probably play 4 now in front of Cresswell, because he's the one who offers the most defensive support. It's a slightly different game if Lanzini's playing there for me. So I if we're playing a back 4, Fornals would always start for me. And yeah, that's the system that we need to stick with until Arthur's back, and then I'd be going straight back to that wing back situation again, because that was probably the best patch we've had in the footballing wise in the season, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I felt confident when we played that. And you look at Burnley, the way they'll play. If we could have pushed our wing-backs up on Saturday, I think we could start giving them a couple of issues. It's a shame we don't have that. But 4-2-3-1, you pack the midfield. Maybe we win it there. I'm not quite sure. I've still got to do my analysis on that one. But anyway.
We've obviously, just on Arthur there, we've obviously been saying about that we need a backup or 2 for Antonio. We haven't got anyone else who can play this wing-back role for Arthur. So in my opinion, we're not going to, because we're not going to spend any money. But I think that we haven't mentioned that we desperately need someone as either as a backup or as a first choice to play that wing back role as well, because it has had a major impact on us not having Arthur available. Obviously for other players, but I think that definitely needs to happen either this window or the summer if that's what Moyes is looking to do long term. Is go with this 3-4-3, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, formation.
Yeah, no, mate, I completely agree. I actually think it's been, again, not to give Moyes too much credit, but he has done well. The fact that we've seen a wing-back system and a 4-2-3-1, and they have worked, and he has figured out something there. Normally we would stick with the same system, the same side, and if we didn't work, it just didn't work. But now we have slight little changes there, so it'll be interesting to see when we get Arthur back, whether he flips between the two for different games. Probably not, probably wishful thinking, but still, it's always on the table.
I just hope he doesn't sign like Patrice Evra or something like that as the.
Them days are long gone, hopefully, Mark. Long gone.
Not while Sullivan's still there. Is not.
Charles' dream come true and bring a Lunga and Lars Jakobsen back.
Listen, to be fair, mate, as long as it's not Graziano Pella
I'm
in
not
that
going to mention who I want to come back because
Wayne Quinn. Get your mate back, Dennis.
It's your mate.
Yeah, Wayne Quinn, get him back, Dennis.
my mate Wayne, I'll tweet him to see if he comes on the show for an interview.
Sure he will after seeing our worst 11.
I'll get Carol. I'll speak to once Carol gets his article out about Czech players. I'll see if he can track down Radislav Kovac to bring him on the show.
Sure, that'd be interesting. I'll let you do that one, mate.
Mate, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, oh, nice. Listen,
he's starstruck already, and he's not even here.
Yeah, come on, man.
I'm just thinking of his John Bon Jovi blonde hair, mate.
Yeah. Now, listen. Before we go, as ever, I ask you for your score predictions. Dennis, I'm going to come to you. West Ham versus Burnley. What's the score going to be?
So it really depending on how we line up. I'm going to go both teams to score, but I'm going to go for a Burnley win.
Oh, come on.
I'm just thinking they're tough to break down. They're the type of team, like you said, they give us possession, like with Brighton, and with Wood's record against us, I could just see Chris Wood's netting 2 headers. Both teams to score, but Burnley win. But I want to be proved wrong, so that's my prediction. That's my honest with my head position. I'm sorry,
Jeff.
Tight, cagey affair, I would say. We're actually quite tough to break down defensively now as well, aren't we? So it'd be tight. I'm gonna go. I could go either way, but I can't do what Dennis has done there. I'm gonna have to go for the. I'm gonna have to go for West Ham win 1-0. Dawson and kick Chris Wood off the pitch. That's what I would say.
Perfect, Mark.
I echo really what Jeff said. I think he's going to be tight and cagey. I don't think either team is probably going to do an awful lot of attacking. And I think it as well drilled as both teams are at set pieces, I think it will come down to someone obviously getting something from a set piece. Having said that, I think we'll win it. But I think it'll be 1-0 and it'll be late on, very late on.
I'm going to absolutely bottle it and sit on the fence, and I'm going to go 1-0. I'd love to say 1-0, but for the life of me, as long as Chris Wood's starting for Burnley, I'm telling you, there's something that I can sense going to happen. To be fair, if we do get a draw, it will be an improvement, because 9 times out of 10, it feels like we always lose against Burnley. I know we got one last time, but it was still a bit of a rough result. Listen, the draw against Burnley isn't the worst thing as long as we go and smash West Brom. But I'll probably curse that now. And Sam Allardyce.
Both our games to Burnley last year.
Did we lose? Did we lose?
We had so many chances.
I remember the goal. It was
we lost it under his foot, didn't he, away? Yeah, Roberto threw it out to Balboa and it went under his foot. And then was it Chris Wood who ran in on the back post against Creswell?
No, it was Rodriguez.
Rodriguez scored a bit of a worldie, didn't he?
It hit the post. Fabianski tried to claw it out, and it just rolled in.
It was the cross though, wasn't it? It was the cross. He had all the time in the world. I can't remember it was on that right. I think it was Frederick.
Yeah,
Frederick.
Because Antonio went 1-on-1 and missed the target. Yarmolenko hit the post, and second half, Haller with his first touch toe poked it. It looks like it's just creeping in the bottom corner, and out of nowhere, Pope gets like his heel to it. Like he's like something like Spider-Man would be proud of reflexes with his feet. And it was one of the most insane saves I've seen all last season.
Yeah, he had a good game, didn't he?
Burnley gave it as good as we did. It was a very tough game, but they beat us 1-0. They took one of their chances.
I'm glad we're not like that anymore. You know, it was that bad. The defending at times was head in hands every week when it left back, right back. I was like, come on.
When Burnley were struggling beginning of the 18-19 season, there was that game where we smashed them off the park, but they got 2 lucky goals. And it was looking like with 10 minutes to go, it was 2-2. And we had something like 15, 16 chances. Nancevic had missed a couple of sitters. I think Antonio had missed a sitter. Everyone had missed a glorious, glorious chance. Like the ball bounced at the last second. It bounced against the ground and hit the post. It was one of those games. And then Anderson just pulled his socks up and just ran the show second half.
Yeah. Be interested to see whether Anderson actually stays at West Ham this January, because I believe he is coming back.
If he goes, how little are we going to sell him for? It'll probably only be 10 million.
Well, I said this to Dan the other day in the transfer. When you look at it, we spent, allegedly, right, just on the fee, say 45 mil. We know it wasn't for Haller. We spent however on Anderson. Those fees together, you'd kill for some money like that now, wouldn't you? Just to invest.
100%. But it was always in silly, weird instalments.
Yeah.
Like, I read online that there was one where we give them £5 million if Haller scored 20 goals in one season. There was no chance of that.
Yeah,
coming from someone that's got his head up Haller's arse, according to my Twitter feed. Some people tweeting me, telling me to get my head out of his arse.
I've got to be honest. When he left, I was just buzzing. I never have to talk about Haller versus Antonio.
You talk about him more now.
Part of me that was like, I just felt relief just come over me and was like, right, fingers crossed that never comes up. But
that's what I'm saying. The example of silly. So I don't know what silly instalments are in the Anderson deal, but probably only £20 real money and loads of other ones like if we get
Champions League known Sullivan.
Yeah, well, that was in the Haller deal. I think 7.5 million was if we get European football in his first 3 years or something like that. And it's just like, so really, we only spent about 20-25 million hard cash on him.
God, I hope we don't get European football then. Otherwise, we're going to have to pay out for Felipe. That'd be terrible.
If Felipe goes...
sell him now.
That's it. We're getting Europe this year. Sullivan's being wise and just flogging players. He was like, look, I've got to pay all this money for Haller, who's only, not was actually performing. Let's flog him. We're still going to get Europe because we're massive. West Ham and Europa. Right.
And on that note, thank you everyone for watching. Drop a like on the video, of course. If you're new, subscribe and you're watching this back. Cheers to Dennis, Jeff, Mark. Thanks, lads. Always a pleasure. I'll be back for Predicted 11, tactical breakdowns before the Burnley game. There'll be a watch-along, of course there will, on Saturday. And there'll be a ridiculously quick turnaround. It's like Christmas all over again when we play West Brom on Tuesday. So, until next time, take care. Come on, you Irons.